Nico's pick of the week, which was, of course, the 2014 film Edge of Tomorrow, is now going to be lovingly described by the number one hater of the film himself, Nico.
That's right, folks. So this film stars Tom Cruise, who is a news reporter going to a small town to document the town's Groundhog Day traditions. However, when aliens invade, it's up to him to stop them, as he lives, dies, and repeats, just blasting aliens the same day over and over again.
Fun fact... Emily Blunt started crying after she put on the 85-pound exosuit, thinking she couldn't do the action scenes. And then Tom Cruise said to her, "Come on, stop being such a pussy, okay?"
What the fuck?
Damn.
That's pretty fun.
That's it, huh?
My goat.
Very fun.
Dude, I think this one's a really solid movie. You know, it's got good action. I think it has a pretty compelling character arc for our main boy here. There were tons of nitpicks I was making throughout the movie.
Oh, you were fucking bitching and moaning about how do they know that she lost the thing? Oh, I guess they can just, sense it? That's dumb.
That is dumb. That's that is something that they never satisfactorily answer. But by the end of the movie, I'm able to move past it, and it doesn't really affect my opinion of the film that much. And some amount of that stuff is just always gonna happen in a time travel movie.
I disagree, Tanner. I think it's very easy to assume, because they came to the logical conclusion that whenever the person with the power dies, the day gets reset. And in Tom Cruise's many experiences of these day-to-day events, he describes how she dies, but the day doesn't reset. So therefore, she doesn't have the power.
But, That doesn't make any sense.
How did she know that prior to him doing that shit? It's just
That's fair. I mean, I guess it's like when he said towards the end of the movie when he was getting the blood transfusion in the fucking field hospital. I guess it's just a feel, you could just feel it not there.
Yeah, and I'm saying the feeling thing is stupid, okay? Congratulations reiterating my point.
I don't think it's that dumb. I think it's a fine explanation.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Fucking cap the character? Be like, oh, I guess they don't have the power.
I'll talk
anymore.
about the
That's
better solution later.
Okay.
Oh, which, by the way, one thing I did find funny, during, one of those ways that he died, we, see, characters, reaction to it happening, which seems to imply that every time he dies, it's just creating an alternate timeline now.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, we can't really speculate on how time travel works and what they're expecting us to believe in this universe.
You can absolutely speculate. If we're watching the stuff that happens after he dies, then clearly the timeline keeps going on, regardless of him dying.
I think they were just doing that to be funny. And unless they have a completely different time travel system than the book, but... In
my own narrative of this movie, I just imagine it's just a hard reset where everything gets reset back to zero.
I like to think that there are now hundreds, if not thousands, of timelines where the woman is just, fucking incarcerated because she killed him so many times.
Yeah, I think the message that the movie was trying to get across as to how the power worked is not how that works. But I think it just could be left.
I mean, they also wouldn't really make any sense for the fucking aliens to develop this in the first place. Why are they going to develop some technology or something that resets the day, but it's going to be on some fucking timeline that doesn't matter to the fuckers that developed it? Let's have something that makes a timeline in the future or on some other parallel timeline succeed, potentially. Who fucking cares? We're living in the now. That doesn't concern us unless they have some way of, cross-time travel communication or some shit, but we don't fucking know.
Exactly. I mean, it's possible they don't know that's how it functions exactly.
True. I think we're getting into the weeds about something that may or may not be super important to the movie, but I don't know. I thought it's really difficult when you have a pre-established blueprint like Nico was alluding to in his summary to go wrong, because we all thought Groundhog Day was pretty good. I don't remember what our general consensus was, but it's in fucking S-, I think, or
dude,
whatever.
Dude, Tanner said it's a perfect movie.
I did say that.
It's definitely not an S+, never mind. But regardless, it got a rather high overall rating. So I think just adding war and guns into the mix without really straying too far from the general concept of Groundhog Day is, formula to be a pretty good movie. I don't even know if they had contrivances, really. I
think the ending is a pretty big contrivance.
I do think it is as well. Them going, like, before he even, like, went into the military or whatever.
Yeah, that's actually something I was gonna bring up to you guys, because, you know, I'm usually a sap for, like, good, happy endings. I think I actually disliked the ending quite a bit, to be completely honest, because, I mean, the thing is, you got your crew, and I like how at one point, even before the ending, where he's like, alright, clearly me going with her is resulting in no progress, and then he goes by himself, and then he ends up, you know, almost getting got. But anyway, he goes off with his crew, he gets everything right somehow, first try, and now they're just operating off of, like, dumb luck, basically, at this point. And then, you know, everybody in the crew dies, the woman sacrifices herself, so she dies, and you're like, oh, okay, well, and he's like, well, neither of us are making it out of here. And we're like, as viewers, like, oh, that's not true, at least one of you makes it out. And then he is on the verge of death. So then we're, like, not sure if he dies or not, and then I was ready to accept his death. I was like, this is a satisfactory ending. A rogue team goes out and solves a solution that nobody else would believe. That's actually another point I'll get to after this. And solves a solution that nobody else believes or is trying to go for. I'm okay with everybody dying here. This is a perfect war hero story. You know, nobody's going to be able to report what happens. It's going to be one of those things that goes down in history, like something happened and we won. And then, yeah, it gets reset back to where he's in the fucking helicopter. And then he just goes and it shows like everybody's alive and well, which I'm sure is an ending everybody would love. But then it's like, does he still have the power now? Is it mixed back in his blood? Does he have the power to reset time? Like, what the fuck? Why, like, it's like disrupting the emotional significance behind what all just happened. Besides, like, people love happy endings and when people come back to life. Let's just do that. It undermines the general emotional and mental impact of everything that just happened.
Anyways, fuck all that noise. I don't like the ending that much either. I also think the latter, like, quarter of the movie definitely lags a little bit. Starts getting a lot slower when they're doing, like, their solo mission. Not solo, but duo mission.
Yeah, I do think that's where the pacing starts to suffer a little bit.
A lot of the... Yeah, I definitely felt like there was supposed to be a lot more tension after he loses his time resetting power too, but honestly, it just felt like he had such big plot armor that I didn't really feel like he was in much danger at all until, like, the very last moment when he, fucking dies. What you can hand wave it around like, oh yeah, he's not in any danger because he's the fucking super soldier now. He's lived a million days or something, and now he's like insanely trained or something. But
yeah,
there's a lot of variables infiltrating a fucking enemy stronghold. That's like their, what I'm fucking saying. I don't know. I think it was kind of dumb. I do like the idea behind this movie. I do like that they have I like the way they introduce the power. I think it makes sense. I'm kind of with Tanner. I don't really like how they explain it, like, going away, especially because I know of a way that it could be better, which Sam will, of course, describe later. But yeah, I think it's well done. I think the CG is cool. I think the alien designs are pretty fucking badass. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, like, to some degree, I think that they are, like, maybe a bit generic, like, oh, it's a big CGI monster, but I think that they are distinctive enough to make them pretty sweet. Like, they do seem very strange and alien, whereas, like, a lot of times in these fucking movies, it's just like, oh, the aliens are just kind of people, but in this, they do seem, like, legitimately kind of fucking terrifying.
It's like an amorphous mass of wires, basically. It's cool. They do those, like, really unique things. They're fucking, like, hiding in the sand, like, fucking, like, live booby traps.
Yeah.
They shoot big fucking, like, laser beams and shit. They do, like, the weird screeching bullshit. They're cool. It's interesting designs. I like things like that, where it's like, I don't know what the fuck this is, but it's scary. I think it's an entertaining movie.
And before we get to Tanner's solution to this movie's problem, my only other grievance with this movie is, why is it so unbelievable? Like, in this context, in this setting, the human race is fighting an alien species that is advanced and just better in many ways, and then they're fighting a losing war. And so I don't know why, when it comes to alien technology, alien species, etc., why it's like these people discover something that they believe is true, and then we as the audience are, like, led to believe that the government thinks that these people are crazy and that they don't want to support their solution, and that they'll either lock them up and dissect them or fucking kill them or whatever. And so I'm just sitting here like, this, like, whole, these people won't believe us when we say we have the time traveling bullshit, which I guess time traveling is fine, whatever. But usually in these kinds of settings, or at least in some other movies, when people are like, hey, we found a weakness, we're not sure if it'll work, but like, this is what's going on. Usually, in plot context, they're like, oh, well, let's go ahead and give that a shot. We have nothing else to lose. But for some reason in this movie, it's like, oh, damn, you're fucking crazy. We're fighting aliens. We don't got time for your bullshit. You fucking lock them up, or whatever. I just thought that, premise was stupid as hell. In my personal opinion, you guys probably thought it was kind of whatever, but I was just like thinking, it's like, you guys are fighting something you know nothing about, but you want to disregard people who specialize in studying them. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me.
No, I think it's pretty believable that you wouldn't immediately believe someone who is claiming that they can time travel or whatever when they go to such extents where it's like, oh yeah, Tom Cruise like obviously knows like fucking everything that's happening and everything about like this general's life, basically, and it's like, okay, well, you can explain this as wave it away as like parlor tricks or whatever, but I don't know, this seems pretty believable.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, minor, I guess you could say minor grievance, but anyway, Tanner, what's your...
That's one of those, like, there's just these little nitpicks here and there you can make if you want.
Right.
What I'm going to talk about real quick is I did end up reading the light novel that this movie was based on. All You Need Is Kill. I figured I'd just, go over some of the interesting ways this movie deviates from the books, this, that, and the other. So the basic premise where it's like alien invasion and time resetting and a guy going through the time loop a bunch of times, all that basic stuff is obviously still the same. Other than that, it's like pretty radically different. A big difference is obviously in the book, the main character is Japanese, and in the movie, the war has been happening for 5 years, and they've like taken over Europe. In the book, the war has been going on for 20 years, and they had taken over like South America, Africa, and were like attacking Asia and North America. But then like recently, to the beginning of the book, the Full Metal Bitch had helped retake North America, South America, and Africa. And so like in the book, it's like this has been a very long going conflict, and we can eventually win. Like, there is hope for humanity winning. The main issue is that there is an alien attack on Japan that needs to be fended off. So they're worried about Japan specifically falling, instead of in the movie where it's more like, oh, the world will fucking fall to the aliens.
Right.
The main character, even aside from like the difference in nationality, is completely different. In the book, he's just like an enlisted soldier. This whole thing of him being like, oh, he's like a war photographer or whatever, and he doesn't want to fight, and then he gets conscripted or whatever. Like, none of that is in it at all. A lot of the things I, was talking about throughout the movie, like, it's all addressed in the book. Like, with the whole, like, oh, I just feel I don't have the power anymore. When we were watching, I specifically said, why don't they just make it so that there's a bunch of different creatures that cause resets, and once you successfully kill the one that you got the power from, then you don't have the power anymore. And that's exactly what it is in the book. Every X number of creatures is attached to one reset creature, or whatever the fuck it is. The way the aliens work is very different in the book. Like, they all look identical. There aren't like different ones, really. It's just like, instead of having that big like mother one, or whatever the fuck they called it, they have a server one, which is the one that does the big reset. Then you have a couple of antenna ones, and then a couple of backup ones. And basically the way they did it is, you have to kill the antennas, then the backups, and then you can kill the server one, and then that is what like eliminates their ability to reset time. I also said, like, during the movie, are they ever gonna point out that these are obviously like some kind of alien weapon to like wipe out humanity so they can take over the planet? And they don't do that in the movie, but in the book they literally go, another alien species designed these things to terraform Earth and whatever. There's a couple chapters that are just the Full Metal Bitches, a whole background and whatever. She literally has Eren Yeager's origin story, where she's she's from like small town Iowa or something, or Illinois or whatever, and then I think it's 3 mimics attack her small town and like wipe out everyone, and then she vows in her little heart that she will not rest until every mimic is dead, or whatever the fuck.
Of course.
That chapter is kind of cool, though, because they're like, most of them died, but the townspeople actually managed to kill 2 of the mimics by, like, basically, like, matadoring them into shooting each other, which is pretty funny.
That's fun.
Oh, the way the mimics look cooler in the movie. In the book, it describes them, the phrase they use constantly is, they look like a bloated frog. So I think they're like these big chunky things that kind of look like Froggy from Sonic Adventure.
That's funny.
Which I think is supposed to be like a comedic thing in the book, where it's like, yeah, they look fucking doofy, but they will fuck you up bad. I like the difference that the movie did there. Another thing, so I can't exactly remember if this is the case in the movie, but it seems heavily implied that when a human gets the reset power, it's only the human person's memories being transported back. Which is why, like, when he goes into the battle, he can memorize where the mimics are. And as a result, that means in the movie, his training is all about, like, just memorization. Like, getting better at combat doesn't really matter. In the book, the server mimic, when the human resets, it still gets its memory sent back too. And so when he goes into the battlefield, like, the mimics are going to be in different places because they remember shit as well. And so in the book, it makes sense that he's doing combat training, because being better at combat is what is actually going to help him. Like, the only thing that memorization helps is when he's, like, doing the pre-battle shit with humans. The ending is massively different. So, and I think... yeah, I actually vastly prefer the ending of the book. Basically what happens is, I think he does, I think it's like his 157th loop, and he meets Rita on the battlefield. She notices that he's, like, massively better at combat than someone who is, like, a first battle grunt should be, and she tells him, oh, meet me when you wake up. And then he realizes, oh, holy fuck, something is up. And so he meets her. I think they go into one battle together. They kill all the things, and then the server, and then it still resets anyway. So he meets her early for a second time, explains that, and then I don't think they do any resets together anymore. The rest of the story is just that one loop. So there is none of this stuff where, like, they're training him and he's getting shot in the head. I think he only kills himself on, like, the 4th loop to make sure that's what's going on. None of that stuff is in the movie, and that's something I like about the movie. I think that's fun. But what happens is he meets up with Rita that second time. He explains, hey, we killed all the things, and then it still reset me. And then she gives, like, a strange look or something. But, they're bonding, they're falling in love, whatever. They spend the day together, and then they wake up the morning of the battle in the base, and the mimics attack. It is a surprise attack by the mimics because they're still getting their memories back. And so the rest of the book is just this massive surprise mimic attack on the military base, and it's fucking sick, dude. It's so cool. And what turns out to be the twist is they kill all of this stuff except for the main server one, and then he's about to hit it, and then she kicks him away and starts coming at him, and they start fighting. And what he finally manages to get her to explain is that when a human forms the connection to the server thing, they become one of the antennas. And if you have a human antenna kill the server, that's cool. But if you have 2 human antennas, which she is still one from when from when she bonded with one earlier, they cannot both exist. And so one of them has to die before they can kill the server mimic and retake the base. And he comes out on top and blah blah blah. And that stuff doesn't get reset. He has to live with that shit. which I think is a much cooler ending.
Yeah.
Also, it's not a sword; it's a giant axe in the book, which doesn't matter. But also the suits. Obviously, in the book, they're just Gundam suits. They're not these like exo suit things, you know.
They look stupid, dude. Why do people get different models? That shit's stupid.
Yeah, they're very silly, and also like. In the book, they make you fast as well, which is obviously useful against a very fast enemy. They seem, and also a big difference with the mimics is they're like way tougher. Like they need like specialty like cannons and like really crazy weaponry to fight these things. Unlike in the movie where it's just like they're just using like normal ass guns against them.
I guess so.
That kind of stuff is too Japanese for American audiences, though.
My guess is it's a budget thing. Like, they
Also
couldn't
that.
make Gundam suits, you know?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you reminded me, that was like one of my things, is like, surely these suits, besides maybe super strength or like having an arsenal on them, I don't think these suits really seem like they're benefiting the wearers
No,
all
not
that
really.
much. But I that was something I didn't necessarily care about. I kind of overlooked that very quickly, just because that didn't seem to play a huge role in the movie anyway, so...
You know what, Jackson, earlier I said I like them both equally. Now that I've actually laid out all the differences, I actually do prefer the book. The ending specifically is like a billion times cooler.
I honestly was shocked you didn't think that from the start.
Huh.
And speaking of thinking things from the start, Dylan, what are you ranking this film?
Oh, that was a really weird segue into that. Yeah, I mean, regardless, I still thought this movie was very good. So yeah, I gave it an S-.
Whoa. Tanner, what about you?
Almost as good as Elmo.
Yeah.
Oh, another complaint about this movie. Put some blood in it. What the fuck are we doing?
I don't know.
Is this rated G? Why is the violence so lame?
Fuck this
Anyway.
movie.
What year was it made? 2014?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was before they had blood physics. Tanner, what do you rank it?
exactly.
Physics.
I gave this one an A+. I do really like this one. I think it's a fun action film, and I like a lot of the bits they do with the time resetting, especially him getting his head blown off so much. That was funny. So just a woman shooting Tom Cruise is an endlessly hilarious concept.
Yeah, I thought this was a solid one. I'm gonna give it an A-.
There we go.
Whoa.
NA's biggest hater here, back again with another hater rank. I'm going one lower than Nico at a B+.
Damn.
Womp womp.
I might up that at some point, but I don't know if I think it's A tier worthy for me yet. And that lands it at, drum roll please. A.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Been a while since we had a film in the A tier.
We literally had one last week.
Yeah.
No more B+ pile, dude. No more B+ pile.
Yeah, we narrowly dodged a B+ pick this week, thank the Lord.